Kia ora everybody. Over the last few days, I've noticed it really starting to set in with a lot of my friends and family just how tough lockdown can be on people. We've been at this 9 or 10 weeks now in some parts of the country. Other parts of the country, it feels like week to week they're getting updates, and that's a really stressful thing for people to cope with. So I had a bit of an idea. When I was interviewing people and putting these interviews together, there was one question I asked everybody, and that was what advice they had to help people get through lockdowns and life with COVID and things like that. So I've done this in 2 videos because I know what your attention span is like. I see all the metadata that comes through seeing how long people watch stuff for. But I've done this in a couple of videos where I've just cut up that advice in the hope that if you're watching this, that it gives you something to consider, helps you cope with whatever it is that you're coping with at the moment. But at the same time, I'd just like to remind you all as well that if you need to reach out, feel free to. I'm happy to talk. But there are also other services out there as well that you can talk to. There's other people that you can talk to, and you're not alone in all this. It does feel very isolating when you feel like there's nobody around you and everything is kind of closing in, and it gets really freaky. So I hope that this advice from the people that I've spoken to, who were very gracious in the advice that they gave, is something that can help you out. Because I think that's really important to listen to what other people are going through and hopefully pick up something from them to learn with. So here you go. I guess this is technically a clip show. Enjoy.
Look, my number one thing is save yourself first. I think for all of us, the first national lockdown last year, we were really unsettled, and it was the unknown. We really didn't know. So we were all trying to save our families, our jobs, our sectors, our community, our neighbours. It was just such this raw, emotive unknown that we were dealing with, which really just kind of, I would say everyone was really resilient and just got through it because we were just really tough and we wanted to do something new. With our third lockdown now, I would always say to people, you just need to save ourselves. And what I mean by that is, look after yourself first. We cannot, as New Zealanders, be ready to carry on the next 18 months, which are going to be just as hard, if we are not match fit. So look after yourself, take breaks, read books, connect with people, but just look after yourself first. And then that'll help us all be stronger for the next chapter we've got ahead of us, which, is going to be quite a long road.
I mean, for me, I make sure that I do 90 minutes of walking or physical exercise. I have to. So if there's an opportunity to put the laptop down, turn the TV off, put your phone down, and actually go outside and go for a walk, that's really important. It's Mental Health Awareness Week this week. So you have to look after your physical side of your health. So I really encourage people just to go outside and go for a walk.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to be experiencing differently. I'm an extrovert and kind of hate lockdowns, but then I've also learned to enjoy them because actually having nights and weekends has been a strange but great experience for me.
You say that now, but you've got a kid on the way. That's going to stop soon.
Yeah, I know, like 6 weeks, 6 weeks away. So it's probably a good, last year I really did learn I don't need to be out every night, and I don't need, and taking time for yourself is important, and exercise is important. Sometimes you do get stuck into a routine of just having to be everywhere all the time. So now, since my first experience has been, okay, it's okay to sit home on a Tuesday night and watch Netflix, or having a Friday and Sunday off is actually a normal person thing to do, and good for your health. But I guess how to get people get through lockdowns, I guess it's reaching out, talking to everyone, making sure you're checking in on how you're feeling. It's a pretty strange situation. As humans, I think we always want certainty, and there's anything but certainty with this situation. You can understand what the government's doing, wanting to keep hospitalizations and deaths to a minimum, but you can sort of tell right now it's bubbling over to well, why can't we just do what other countries are doing and kind of letting people die, but being open and free? So it's a huge gamble for the government right now, but there'll be people who are absolutely afraid of opening borders and other people who are absolutely adamant to open them. And, you know, some of the people might never have been overseas, so for them it's not an important thing for that to happen. Others are desperate to see family, or whatever else. So I think that is a hard thing. So stop doom scrolling. I think I need to take my own advice on that. I think people can get stuck in the 1 p.m. updates and the reading stories and the millions of opinions and social media, the anti-vax stuff, like keeping off social media a couple of days a week, or at least, you know, stop looking at that before you go to bed, so you don't have the horrific lockdown dreams, is probably a good thing. And just, catching up with people, bringing back some of those things that were a novelty in the first lockdown. So FaceTiming friends and family you don't normally catch up with, you know, cooking, exercising, and just, trying to focus on the good things that you can control, because there's a lot about this time that we can't control. So, you know, I keep trying to put out kind of positive things and, you know, yay, we're moving forward. But even I'm sometimes regretting that, because it's like, yay, nine cases, and then it kind of backfires because the next day they're higher and sort of like, but it's still okay.
The trend is going the right way.
Yeah, the trend is going the right way. And I think the more people get vaccinated, the safer we're going to be. And I think, you know, there is more tolerance in New Zealand, I think, at the moment for slowly opening things up and understand, you know, I don't see a case where we turn into Melbourne with massive protests and those sorts of things. We're a little bit like, yeah, I'm angry, but I'm going to like keep wearing my mask and I'm going to get my family vaccinated, and I understand why. So there's some good things about living here that I think will continue even when it gets hard the next couple of months. So,
I mean, there's all this sort of the well-being stuff, like getting out and taking walks and looking after each other and all those sorts of things. And I'm sure you've heard those sorts of things. So, but my best advice is, I suppose, to remember why we're doing this. And it's actually for each other. So this is an act of service to our community, the lockdown. And to me, that gives it a bit of a purpose. So we're doing this not because of what I need, we're doing this because of what we need as a community. And you say, well, so it is tough, but it's tough, and we're doing it because it's part of looking after each other.
I think we go back to basics, human basics, and human social interaction that is critical. Every person is different in a different time and place. But one of the things we do need is social interaction, and that's outside our bubble. So we can now just to ring people and have a chat to them. I've put together a program which was going to launch, but COVID's munted that, but we'll launch it again soon. Is dealing with we argue at Waikiki Family Support, everybody is resilient. To get out of bed in the morning is an act of resilience. You're resilient. But what we pitch is that we all have moments of vulnerability. And it's when the moments of vulnerability multiply and become out of control, and it depends on the extent that gets out of control, because at one end of the spectrum, you've got quite severe depression. And others is that we get anxious, and within 2 or 3 minutes or seconds even, it's all over and done with. And so one of the things I did when I was preparing the program for it was did quite a bit of research, which I'm prone to. And one of the articles I read, and it made a lot of sense to me, is we've actually got out of the habit of writing letters to people.
Yes.
And it's quite different to do a pen and paper to doing an email. And so, and they said, and this thing argued that it's good therapy for loneliness. So I thought, right, I'm going to sit down. So because I go to church, I have a church directory and a list of people in it. And I selected about 7 or 8 of the elderly people of the church that, you know, for different reasons for each one. And I wrote them a letter each and said, you know, this isn't a chain letter or anything like this. I just want to let you know that I'm thinking about you, and this is what's going on in my world at the moment, blah, blah, blah. Within 2 weeks, every single one of them had written back to me.
That's really cool.
And ever since then, every time they see me, they make a point of chatting to me. And it's created a bond between us that if we'd done something electronically, it wouldn't have worked to the same extent.
Yeah, totally makes sense. It's a feeling of connection.
It is. And, you know, you go out to your letterbox and what do you get? Those flipping window things. Who wants those?
Yeah. Me, never had. If they got eaten by snails, I wouldn't complain.
Same here. And you know, to get a personalised letter coming through the letterbox is a rarity. And so that's one of the things, you know, if you're feeling vulnerable, write it down, but post it to someone else because it'll influence how you write it and how you word it. Because what you'll actually do as you're writing it, you'll be looking at yourself. Even though you're writing it for another person, you're looking at yourself and saying, ooh, I don't like the look of me here. I think I need to do something about me.
So I've posted about it a few times on Facebook as well. I guess there's a lot of advice around. I think the biggest thing I feel like when people are at home and working from home is not having a routine. And that can be a big problem because once you start, you know, sleeping at 4 a.m., watching movies and getting up at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, you just don't have that, you know, your cycle body clock isn't working at the right time. So making sure, you know, you're sleeping on time, getting up on time, but also trying to do as much of the routine stuff as you can. So for example, for my staff, you know, in Hamilton, Wellington, we have a Zoom meeting every morning at 8:30. Which just means, you know, we all start the day together. We know people have woken up and they're all ready to go. And after that, people can have their breakfast and coffee if they want, but just make sure. So I think that's having that body clock at the right time and just having a routine is very important. And that's the same for, you know, weekends and weekdays, because at the moment, everything just blends together. It's hard to tell if it's a Sunday or a Tuesday. But if you do it in a way that, you know, you 5 days work and you do 2 days off, you know, rest, that just means that there's a bit more that normal routine. So it also means, you know, doing your maybe supermarket shoppings after hours and doing them in weekends. Obviously, we don't want people lining up at the same time, but just giving a bit more normal routine. Like, you know, you wouldn't go out at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday or a Wednesday to do your shopping. So those sort of things. I think making sure that you are still connected to the rest of the world. So again, you know, as you said, Zoom calls, phone calls, all those sort of things. And, you know, a lot of my friends and I, we have drinks on Zoom sometimes, even with colleagues, you know, just making sure that there is somebody to talk to. And again, you know, you hear so much about different people and their stories just during lockdown about how it's affecting them as well. But keeping those connections together is very important. Other stuff around mental health, you know, obviously there's a lot of resources. There's, you know, Youth Line, Kids Line, 1737. There's diversity counseling as well for people from, you know, the ethnic backgrounds, if they want to talk in a different language. But I think understanding that in a way it is affecting everyone. So you're not in it alone, and making sure you have somebody to talk to is quite important. And I think also not being too hard on yourself. Sometimes, you know, when we go into those lockdowns, we also feel like, oh, this is the time where you got to renovate the house and, you know, sort out the garage and clean the car and everything else and still keep your job and justify it. So it is important that you don't take it all on board and start doing it all in that 2 weeks when you're locked in.
Call your mates. Seriously, call your mates. I've got a chat group. I've got some friends. I've got a couple of chat groups actually. One with my triathlon cupcake cartel. We've got a memes thread. It's hilarious. It's like 4,000 memes on this thread. Communicate to people. Either it's your partner or if you got to communicate to your partner and your family. Can't see me doing this. Communicate to your partner and family and your training buddies, and just don't bottle shit up.
This is real controversial, but it's pretty much be kind.
Okay.
Just say hi to a neighbor or a wave or a friend, you know, just be really nice. Keep in touch with people that you care about and make sure they're okay. It's not just about you, it's about them as well. So as long as you I don't know, keep in touch, stay kind. Jacinda has her words cut out for her.